This film contains stories that some viewers may find difficult. Support is available Australia-wide through Lifeline on 13 11 14 or QLife LGBTQIA+ on 1800 184 527. What Parents Want, talking about gender and sexuality diversity in schools, draws on the findings from Australian research that investigated the experiences of parents of gender and sexuality diverse young people and their experiences of attending school. The actors are using the words of some of the parent participants. Our research highlighted that gender and sexuality diverse kids come from a diverse range of families, including families living in cities, regional and remote areas of Australia, families where parents were born in Europe, Asia, Africa and the Americas, and speak a variety of different languages at home. Families where parents identify as Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, and as not religious. Part 1, This Is Us, Introducing Our Children, presents 6 parent voices, or mothers, who talk about their child's experiences of identifying as gender and or sexuality diverse.
Emma, who we're talking about today, is my transgender child. She was born male. Emma is 9. It was getting clearer that she just couldn't keep pretending to be a boy, and that's how she felt. She said she thought it was a lie. She had all her girly things in her bedroom that if she had friends over, you'd have to put them all away. She didn't want to go out of the house because she'd have to get changed into boy clothes. So it got to the point at school where she really couldn't concentrate because she was so focused on presenting more like a girl. She had feminine mannerisms and was obsessed about what things were girl things and what things were boy things. She didn't want to go to the boys' toilets anymore, and I was getting phone calls to say come and pick her up from school.
My child is River. They prefer the they pronoun, which we're all struggling with a little bit because it's plural. River decided or announced they were gender fluid probably 18 months ago. They would have been 11 and a half at the time. River feels very clear that they're not in the wrong body, but feels that they don't feel feminine, don't like feminine things, don't feel like a girl. So River had this big, thick, beautiful, curly, shoulder-length hair, which was kind of the thing that everybody knew them by. River decided that they wanted to shave it all off. So we shave it every 6 weeks. So it's really short. It suits them. Yeah, they look amazing. Like, River's got a very androgynous body. Like, they're tall, very lean, so they easily pass as a boy, or they pass as somewhere in the middle. Like, they wear boys' clothes and is easily mistaken for male. With old people, they'll go, "Oh, your son's so lovely." And then you see them kind of going, wait, hold on, and looking a bit confused and embarrassed. And River just goes, "Thank you," and moves on.
My son Asher is 15, nearly 16. Asher is slightly gender non-conforming. He's in no way genderqueer, but he doesn't necessarily follow the rules in the way he presents. So he likes to wear women's jewellery sometimes and that kind of stuff. So at some point he decided that he was bi. Heterosexuality hasn't been assumed as much in his entire schooling life as it certainly was for any of our generation. Every now and then the stuff he says surprises me in terms of how different the attitudes are amongst him and his peers than they were for me and actually are for me now. Ash has always felt like he was part of his school community, even if things weren't going terribly well.
Geordie's just turned 14, so she's about to head into year 9 in high school. in year 5 of primary school, I started to see some changes in her. She started showing interest in her body and in other kids. She hit puberty very early, at 10 years old, and so went through rapid physical growth and emotional turmoil, really, because she was so young. She began to know a bit more about herself, and so at 11, she came out. She realised at that point she was interested in girls. I think she was a bit afraid to tell her parents, my ex and myself, just in case, probably in case we didn't take her seriously because she was so young. We just said, you know, it's great that you're starting to understand this about yourself. Anyway, that vision of herself has never really changed. And from that point, she started to independently research sexualities and genders and became very, very aware. So, for example, at 12, she announced one night at dinner that there was a sexuality and gender type for each day of the month. So there were 32 recognised ones at that point. She was doing all this independent research on her own.
From my point of view, pre-transition there's Rory and post-transition there's Meg. By 2.5 years old, my son had rejected all boys' toys, rejected playing with boys, told us he didn't like his body, wouldn't listen to his name or respond even to it. At 2.5, he watched a movie called Frozen and the lights just went on. From that moment, it was just all girl stuff, dresses. The preschool at the time was very open, but were very concerned. And they said, if your child comes dressed as a girl every day, that other parents might be concerned about that. We were having tantrums, 1.5 hour long tantrums, if you put the shorts on.
I have twins. They're 14. They were both born male. And then last year in October, one of my twins said to me that, I think that my brother is having gender identity issues. I asked my then son and he said, yes, I am. It was apparent that this had been bothering him for some time. He'd been depressed and anxious and we didn't understand why for years. He then transitioned and became she. In December, we chose her name, Bridget, with her, and she's now 14 and lives as a girl, goes to school as a girl, and yeah, is doing really relatively well. And she's on estrogen now, and so she's socially and medically transitioning, and at 18, she'll have gender confirmation surgery.
Emma was adamant she was changing socially to a girl. She'd picked a name, she'd been seeing a counsellor that had given us some of the tools to cope with the change. The school was very accommodating because I think they could see it was getting to the point for Emma she couldn't continue. On the last day of school, she took off that school uniform and put girl clothes on, and that was it. There was no stopping her. I'm guided a little bit by Emma, who is very happy where she is right now. She feels that she's completely a girl. She goes to friends' birthday parties and has sleepovers, and in a way, I feel like at this point, she doesn't want to be viewed by others as different. Like, she does ballet outside of school and she won't let me tell the other ballet girls that she's transgender. I do worry sometimes that it's not great, that going under the radar is how she's learned to cope. We need to have something out there so that Emma can accept that being transgender is okay. Because right now, being transgender is okay only if no one knows you're transgender.
River felt quite confident that their friends would be okay about them coming out as gender fluid. They're all pretty bright, engaged kids, interested in the world, wanting to be doing the right thing kind of kids. So we role-played what River could say. River told the friends at school, and they all jumped up and hugged River and said, we love you and we're so proud of you and thank you for telling us. Just the cutest, most beautiful response ever. Amazing. And they're all like 12 and 13-year-olds. Like, it just makes me cry. I could not have wanted more of them. I am so glad it went so beautifully for them. River's friends asked all these really great questions like, so what pronouns should we use? What about the teachers? Do you want us to correct teachers if they use the wrong pronouns? What about other kids asking questions?
If we had just moved schools and she'd started as Meg, that would have been a completely different story. But because she actually socially transitioned in kindergarten, where all those kids know, it's now become a major problem for her. So she has this secret that she has boy parts. Internally, I think she's dealing with, I have a secret I'm not allowed to tell anyone, but everything in my school tells me to tell the truth. Then where do I live in that world? Because at school, in kindergarten, it's all about telling the truth, being honest and sharing about yourself. So she has a lot of anxiety about, what if someone finds out and they tell the whole school? What will that look like for me? Her first question all the time is, does this teacher know about me, Mummy? She's constantly hypervigilant about protecting herself at school. She's mimicking the girls to make sure she looks like them. So dress-up days, mufti days, book week days, any day that you can imagine where they get to choose their own outfit is problematic, very problematic. Because if I look too girly, what will that mean? It's hypervigilant, constant.